Fool's Bargain by Timothy Zahn was an ebook novella released in February 2004 to supplement his novel Survivor's Quest, and it was later included in the paperback edition of Survivor's Quest that was released later in the year. Fool's Bargain and Survivor's Quest basically canonized the existence of the 501st Legion, which in real life was a fan group started in 1997. They do a lot of charity work. They're really, really great. In the post-Battle of Endor era, they are the elite stormtrooper legion within the Empire of the Hand, and in the Empire era, they're also canonically Vader's own stormtrooper group. Wikipedia says that Fool's Bargain is the only story to be told solely from a stormtrooper's point of view and to only include stormtroopers, although I'm not sure I buy that because there is no citation listed. So while I have read Survivor's Quest many, many times, I had never read this story before. I think primarily because I own the hardcover of Survivor's Quest, not the paperback, so I'm not sure I ever encountered the story in person. But also, to be frank, I'm more interested in Luke and Mara than I am in random stormtroopers. So, a brief summary. The Empire of the Hand, Thrawn's Imperial Splinter Group, has decided to aid the Akari native tribes of the planet Kariak in overthrowing the mysterious warlord who has ruled their planet for over 5 decades. Our narrator, the leader of Unit Oryx 7 of the 501st, has been deployed to capture the warlord alive, but he will also have to negotiate with the Akari freedom fighters who have very different motives. So first, a timeline disclaimer. Fool's Bargain is set sometime before Survivor's Quest, which is set 22 years after the Battle of Yavin. Unfortunately, I can't get any more specific than that it is set after Vision of the Future, 19 years after the Battle of Yavin, and sometime before 22. So first, the good. I really appreciated that we stayed in one character's head the whole time, that for this whole story we were in Twister, who's the leader of Unit Oryx 7's head. So even though it's just like a 40-page novella, there's no chapter breaks, just scene breaks, I felt like we got to know him pretty well, got to know what his motivations are, and got to know how he approaches situations. The strange thing, though, is that Twister doesn't appear in Survivor's Quest. Rather, Fool's Bargain more serves to introduce us to another character, Sumil, who appears in Survivor's Quest as Grappler of Unit Oryx 7. So we're within Twister's head the whole time, but this more serves as an introduction to a minor character who appears in the novel. I didn't quite realize until I was looking at reviews on Goodreads how very of its time Fool's Bargain was. Fool's Bargain was released in early 2004, no doubt was written in 2003, and you just have to look at the name of the planet, Kariak, and the people, the Akari, and the fact that they're overthrowing a warlord to realize that this is referring to the war in Iraq, the extended conflict between the United States and Iraq that occurred from 2003 to 2011. It was on a lot of people's minds at the time, and clearly it was on Timothy Zahn's as well. And that sort of leads directly into my meh, which is that I find it hard to accept the Empire of the Hand as good guys. They talk a good talk about how they're the Empire, but without Palpatine's prejudices and xenophobia against aliens and women and things like that. But at the same time, they're still an empire, and these are still stormtroopers, and while I may appreciate that they are aiding these freedom fighters, you still wonder what their motives are. Even the stormtroopers, Twister and his men within this story, don't know what their superior officers' motives are. They just know capture the warlord alive, but they don't know why, and they don't know what's going to happen next. And so you as the reader just meant to, for the most part, accept that their motives are good. But again, they're stormtroopers. Just the iconography of the Empire is so referring to fascist regimes like Nazi Germany that I do really struggle to see them as good guys. And this is a problem that I've had with Survivor's Quest as well, that the rebellion and then the New Republic fought the Empire for so long to then be presented with the good Empire, that there's a part of me that's going like, but they're still the Empire. Like, how can they be good? I think that narrowing the focus to just Twister's POV sort of stops some of Zahn's bad proclivities to just include like way too many details and not enough characterization. And I think focusing it here so tightly on just the 501st getting in, taking these underground tunnels, and then capturing the warlord makes the story not expand beyond its bounds. There were a few bits where I was a little bit confused. I got that the Akari, led by Sumil, have a different cultural way of looking at things, and I thought that the way that Sumil differentiated between lies and truths was really interesting. But there are some bits where I'd be like, I have a bad feeling about that door, and I'm like, oh no, it's like explosives, and no, it was just a fake door. And also having a little bit of trouble visualizing some of the action at times. But on the whole, I liked that tight focus, and I felt like it worked a lot better for me than some of Zahn's bigger battles, especially like the space ones, where I find out in space, it's hard for me to picture what's happening, but when it's people on the ground, I don't get as easily lost. So in short, Fool's Bargain is like a short, chapterless novella that just gives us some of the history behind the stormtroopers in the Empire of the Hand, and also introduces us to a minor character from the Survivor's Quest novel. Is it important for your understanding of Survivor's Quest? No, but I did think it was interesting to spend time with these characters to get to know a little bit more about them. I find it really fascinating that Zahn and other authors canonize the 501st fan group in this way. Like, what a nice gesture to them. But at the same time, I am like so opposed to the Empire being good guys that I do have like moral issues here. And I think it plays out in some of Zahn's other books as well, where what Thrawn is doing is good and the Empire of the Hand is good. They're not the old Empire, but they're still the Empire. So I gotta say, like, I don't trust you dudes. I don't trust you at all. So next time I'm going to be reading a Luke and Mara story set prior to Vector Prime about the discovery of the remains of the outbound flight mission. Survivor's Quest by Timothy Zahn.